Anyway, let's get started. So, The Wizard of Oz is a story of the unfolding of the New World Order, believe it or not. It started happening way back then. We thought that the New World Order was just now coming into play. No, it started way back then. It was brought on by the stock market crash of 1929 and the bankruptcy in the U.S. in 1933. So the setting of that movie was in Kansas. So a lot of you are familiar with the movie. If you're not, go and watch it and it'll all make sense now. In came the twister, and all of that was the confusion in our face. They had the twister, but it was really meant to be descriptive of the confusion that the American people were going through, the Great Depression, the stock market crash, all of that, the U.S. bankruptcy, the theft of America's gold from FDR. That's what the twister that they're talking about in the movie really was talking about. They whisked Dorothy and Toto into the new world, the new order of the world, and now they're somewhere over the rainbow. So that song is going to have a totally different meaning to you now. Somewhere over the rainbow. That popular song was about all of that. So when they landed in Oz, Dorothy told Toto, "I don't feel like we are in Kansas anymore." And Dorothy was correct in saying that because they were no longer in Kansas. They were now in KS, the abbreviation for Kansas. A two-letter, capital letter, federal postal designation by the zone improvement code, the zip code. So what they were putting into our face when they said that Toto and Dorothy are no longer in Kansas is because the term Kansas and the state of Kansas is now incorporated with the KS, and now they have a zip code established by the bankrupt U.S. Of 1933. So the zone improvement code, that's when all of that was established, and that's when our abbreviated states became a thing. And Dorothy and Toto were now in this state deceptively defined for the tax jurisdiction purposes as the District of Columbia. So when they say you're not in Kansas anymore, that's what they're referring to. So while Americans were confused, they created an artificial person. The term person. Let's keep that in mind because we're going to go over exactly what a person means. So while the Americans were confused with the bankruptcy and the taking of the gold and the stock market crash and the Great Depression and all of those things, they created an artificial person and took away our sovereignty as the living man and woman and introduced us into the New World Order and this communistic socialism that they were creating at that time, not now, at that time. So a lot of you will probably think about this movie and remember back the phrase that they used in the movie that says, some people with, and I'm not going to sing it, okay? You don't want me to sing it. Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking. Of course, I'm not bright about doing things. In that classic song, If I Only Had a Brain, the scarecrow / straw man. So the scarecrow in that movie is playing the straw man. Stated, "I'd unravel every riddle for every individual in trouble or in pain." So that classic song was talking about the straw man, and if it only had a brain. The scarecrow straw man, I'd unravel every riddle for every individual in trouble and in pain. In the word individual, the term individual actually means a U.S. government employee. Under Title 5 USC 552 A, lowercase a, number 2. Again, Title 5 USC 552 A, number 2. A U.S. government employee is an individual, and all tax codes are in harmony with the term individual by reference only. So one word is all it takes to put yourself in their jurisdiction. So that was just another example that I wanted to highlight from the book and the movie. A corporation of one they talk about in the movie also. A corporation of one, that's an artificial person constructed by law, not a living, breathing man or woman. So anytime that they're referring to a corporation of one, that's referring to the straw man artificial person constructed by law, not by you as a living man and woman. The drafters of codes and laws, they take everyday common speech and give it encrypted meaning. So even today, all of their statutes, codes, laws, and everything, they do, and as we all know, they pull the curtain over us and they put us in the dark and try to encrypt the messages that they're trying to put in our face. In movies, in books, in TV shows, in the media, all of that. So they've been doing it since 1933. So the drafters of the codes and laws, they take everyday common speech and they give it encrypted meanings. And because of this, most folks are commercially, legally, and financially enslaved based on ignorance. So we're all a victim of being commercially, legally, and financially enslaved and ignorant to what they've told us because we didn't do the research until now. And even knowing that ignorance of the law is no excuse, which we all know that ignorance of the law is no excuse, the people today find themselves helpless, just like us. We found ourselves helpless, unarmed, and uninformed about all of the things and ways to get ourselves back on the land and soil and in a better situation financially, legally, and everything, lawfully. But once we discovered the straw man as the scarecrow character, and that we have co-signed for him and her our whole lives, we've been co-signing for the straw man, the confusion becomes resolved. So all of the confusion that we've had when we look at the straw man and the scarecrow in that movie, we realize that we've been co-signing for the corporate entity our whole lives. And they put it in our face right here in the movie. The Tin Man in the movie, that's the taxpayer identification number. So the Tin Man in the movie was referred to as the taxpayer identification number. And it's a hollow man of tin, a vessel with newly created words for our straw man scarecrow. Okay? The Tin Man is heartless. There's no blood running through the veins. Just as a straw man, the Tin Man is just another vessel with no heart in the movie. The term person, you know how every one word has a meaning. Person equals persona, which equals mask. So persons are divided by law into natural persons and artificial persons. Now, when you look at the Tin Man and you think of that illustration in the movie based on character, the Tin Man and the definition of tin is counterfeit. So the definition in Webster's dictionary is counterfeit for tin. And Tin Man represents the mechanical and heartless aspect of commerce and commercial law. The line in the movie represents the, at one time, fearless American. Now we see America